G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Vulcan cannon. This is a gigantic rotary barrel heavy weapon with a kit-bashed minigun appearance, said to be a high-level alternative to the vanilla game minigun. As you can tell, it uses a lot of the assets from the vanilla game minigun. It has the same animations as the vanilla game minigun, which works well with this thing, but there's a little bit more going on, and just the sheer size and not so much weight of this thing. The aesthetic here is meant to be like it's pulled off a naval gun. So it's a big naval cannon that you walk around with, kind of like a modern version of the broadside, if you like. Now, this thing doing 48 damage right off the bat with the standard barrel is doubling what we get out of a standard minigun. You'll also see that the fire rate and the range is the same, despite this thing's barrels being a lot longer. The weight is barely even that much. Like, it's less than 3 pounds to the difference between this minigun and the Vulcan cannon. So, yeah, okay, so I guess it won't be the least economical survival gun, I suppose. But one of the big difference here is it fires the 5.56 rounds instead of the standard vanilla game minigun 5mm rounds, which are a lot more plentiful. As you can tell, I've got like 26,500 of these on a save file that I've been using for years at this point. Here's a little peek behind the curtains. They all spawn from the one character. I just use looks menu to switch over their appearances and change their names, and yeah, we're basically using the same save here. But as you can tell, without modding in bullets, I've got 26,000 of those, which is great. The 5.56s are interesting because, well, I'll just talk about how this thing's added to the game. It is injected into the level list. You'll start seeing this thing on gunner enemies, other raided dudes and stuff around level 10, albeit rarely. Now, for a high-level weapon sporting at level 10, well, level 10 is like early game, so it's interesting that that's an option there. And feeding this thing 5.56s, you won't really start seeing 5.56s until you get towards the mid to late game, where you start finding vanilla game assault rifles. You can pick them up from the gunners. If they got the drum magazines, that's a lot of bullets you can collect from that, just if you're on the lookout, if you don't want to use console commands to add them. So you've got this high-level weapon that you can get really early, but you won't be able to feed it for a long time, so maybe they could look at that. You'll find this in stores around level 24. The Brotherhood of Steel store will start stocking these post-level 24, which I think is a level that makes a little bit more sense when it comes to this, but that's kind of interesting. I thought I'd point that out. Not a criticism, but kind of interesting. Maybe something that could be looked at and improved upon. But other than that, this thing looks brilliant, and there's a special little Easter egg, or not an Easter egg, but something that I found that was pretty awesome going through this. But without further ado, we'll get into the attachments. Now, like the minigun, the only thing you can really do with this thing to affect its performance is change the barrel, and I want to change the barrel out and have a version of each of these just to see how we go. But I think the best barrel we might be looking at here would be the assault barrel, which is awesome looking. It's like a M134 Dylan barrel right there. Unfortunately, we're only firing 5.56s, but that'll increase your rate of fire and also increase your range a little bit. You can have the reinforced barrel to increase your range even further. The defense barrel will give you the highest damage, lowest rate of fire, highest range though. So if you want to snipe things, then that's the barrel for you. And you can attempt to snipe some things. This is sort of untested means here, but you can attach scopes onto this thing, which might be really awesome, or it might be terrible. We'll have to investigate that as we go along. But there's also options for reflex sights and just iron sights in general. That's a standard minigun sight there. There's nothing to line that up on, so I'm guessing you just gotta use the traces to figure out where those bullets are going. But you know, the character will stare and have that in the middle of the screen. So a nice little iron sight there if you feel like it, but not entirely useful, or not entirely needed if you just want to use the traces like they do on the helicopters and the miniguns in real life. But the real surprise here is that since this uses mostly vanilla game textures, the Creation Club stuff works on it. So you can have this wicked cool Atom Cats paint, Brotherhood of Steel, Children of Atom, which covers the whole gun in this weird grey-greenish color. It looks sickly. Maybe if you want to argue some legendary effects on this, throwing a radiated on with a weapon like this, that would be a destructive combination, at least for human enemies. There's also Gunner's paint as well, Institute paint, which looks really cool, and Railroad paint, and despite this having this sort of weird Centurion C-Ram sort of ammo style holder at the front here, which I'm not sure where they've pulled those textures from, but whatever Creation Club paint you put on, all of that will be filled up. So I don't know if they're just using a different standard base texture for this to get those white colors in there, but despite all of that and its confusing nature, everything works. It just works with the Creation Club paint, so I love that effect. Okay, I've talked about this thing enough. We're going to make a few more of these, and we'll go and shoot things. I am heavy weapons guy, and this is my weapon. It costs 200,000 caps to fire this weapon for 12 seconds. Anyways, that's all I remember of that. But this is what the Vulcan cannon looks like in third person. As you can tell, it's about twice the size of Nina herself. You wouldn't think a person like this would be lugging around a gigantic weapon like this. Where does it go? I guess we've got deep pockets somewhere. Who knows? But yeah, just in case you're wondering how many she can carry, she can go more. So this is the accelerated barrel variant, or the fast one, with the that sort of cool muzzle brake thing designed with the Atom Cat paint. This one is standard barrel, Brotherhood of Steel paint. This one here has got the extended tri-barrel thing with railroad paint, very brown. This one here has Institute paint with the Pepper Mill barrel. This one has the shortened barrel with the Gunner paint. And lastly, we have the extended long barrel with the Children of Atom colors on it, complete with a recon scope. So we might be using that one for starters, but yeah, we're carrying a lot of these things around at the moment. And how are we going for weight capacity? Fine, don't even worry about it. But I'm a little bit worried about our ammo expenditure. I didn't add more ammo to the inventory through console commands, but honestly, if we can't kill all of these gunners with 2,700 rounds, then what are we even doing with our lives? So I guess we'll light up some targets, and we'll see how we go. Take that. Bet you weren't ready for some stealth minigunning today. And we're getting some sneak criticals in here. Unfortunately, when we're not getting sneak criticals, we're hitting for single digits, which for 5.56 rounds, that's I don't know. I think we're pushing the high level sort of description of this thing. And I know I am playing on very high difficulty, so I'm getting the half damage penalty, but like this is like full range on this thing, so maybe we're using the wrong variant here. And that was a knee. Someone's got a kneecapper weapon. It's not. I haven't dislocated a knee for from standing around carrying 6 miniguns. Don't worry about that. It sounds cool. I can hear the individual rounds going off where I feel like I shouldn't. I gotta say that I think I should just be hearing just minigun sounds. You could just pitch them down a little bit lower to make it sound a little bit more beefy, I think. And excuse me, mouse, please respond. I mean, we can do all right, but I think what we need to do here to get some of this work done is utilize it in VATS as fast as we can go and get as many headshots as possible. And despite being shot in the head with many 5.56s, it takes a little bit of time for these gunners to get the idea that they should be dropping on the ground lifeless, but we can I guess we'll keep going. That's the penetrator perk going well there. You'll notice that when we are firing this thing, we're firing multiple projectiles at once, which will give you the idea of this thing, you know, having its super high rate of fire. I think the minigun thing is, the one bullet at a time is good as well, but that might be why we're just not getting a lot of good damage out of this thing, because it's all well and good that it's got double damage of the minigun, but all of that damage is being spread around evenly between the projectiles, and not a lot of those are hitting. Either that or there's just like tracer mods out the arse here that are causing that, but it certainly looks like I'm shooting multiple shots at once, which is just not good for damage output. If you want to get that right through extensive testing, it's hard to get right when you're already getting robbed of half your damage. But it's not going very well. I suppose we could, well, switch guns for starters, and we're actually down to our last few magazines here. Looks like this one's got a little bit more grunt in it, although we did just activate Nerd Rage, so there's that. But we'll go down swinging here, but I've got a few tricks up my sleeve should this not work out for us. I've got to say that for a high-level spinny gun, she's not pulling the numbers that I would have hoped. And now I've got one with a reflex sight. No, she's not doing it for us. So we're going to change a few things. Alrighty, enter the tree damage mod, because sometimes we want a more realistic take of a rotary barrel super gun that can fire reasonably sized lead at incomprehensible speeds. So what I'm going to do, just to show how dangerous this can be, I'm going to stand here and we're going to promptly get killed very fast. Maybe. Don't make me eat my words here. So that's it. No more bullet spongy, energy shieldy nonsense. We gotta think about the game more, so the stakes are definitely high. Okay, let's try this again, but this time a little bit less silly and facetious. So those turrets are just like gigantic, just bullet sponges that'll just devour everything that I throw at them. Observe this. Okay, that wasn't too bad, but instead of assaulting the fortress from a head-on fashion, we're gonna pick our battles a little bit more smart here. We'll just put some rounds over their heads just to keep them down to cover my retreat. That's good enough. Behind the car now, and now we can take out this small squad, who have promptly removed half of my health. Maybe we can recover from this through a cheeky level up, but that Sheila over there only had a standard. That's Nerd Rage. One of them has hit me from all the way down there, and they've done a pretty good job at nullifying my health. Now, another cheap thing we could do in order to boost our damage is just VATS. Just click on their faces and VATS, and that'll just do the job. It might change all of the perk scaling for damage. That one hasn't got a head already. Definitely hasn't now. There we go. We've got our cheap little level up there, and now we can continue like nothing ever happened. What I might do here is switch over to our longer tri-barrel one just for accuracy. That's so much better. That's the stuff. Oh, that's so much more consistent. And over a range at sort of mid-arm's length here, I feel like that's the more sweet spot, and that's a lot of damage for just one straight hit. The biggest problem I might be having is literally gunner snipers from there. Like, makes you really think how incredible it is to be able to just kill a lot of potentially very competent combatants in a fashion like this. We're like fucking superheroes, man. Just unstoppable forces of nature. But this we have to think about a little bit and potentially have more appropriate armor for protection, because we're not living on a beach, Nina. Read the room. Now, do I want to risk in getting a little bit closer? Maybe. Usually a few... Oh my goodness, that would be a 50 cal. I don't think I can do it. Alright, so we've slipped into something a little bit more comfortable, I think. It looks pretty cool. This is Nina's power armor. It's canon. She's got the shark mouth on it because sharks are predators. They hunt their prey. Also, Nina hunts her prey. She's a huntress. You probably know about that later. I should get around to releasing that mod soon. Still a little bit of more work to do, but she wears T60 model power armor. So there you go, a little tidbit. And we're still going to sort of keep ourselves at a little bit of length away from these gunners, but if I can get to a spot where I can gun down a lot of dudes fast and not really have to move around a lot and still get cover from about half of what Gunner's Plaza has to throw at me, then maybe that'll be a good idea. And we can even throw sneaking into the mix here, because why wouldn't we? We'll just hose them down from back here, not hitting a lot of shots, but when we are hitting, we're doing a fairly decent job at killing them. Maybe we will switch over to something a little bit different. And despite all of the US government propaganda about power armors being walking tanks, I've lost 20% of my health already. I would have expected a little bit of longevity in power armor. That was a bloody mess kill, I think. But yeah, we're still losing health pretty fast. This is supposed to be the thing that stopped the Chinese in their tracks, damn it. It's a lie. Everything they told me about power armor was a lie. Here are some legendary effects. Read them and weep. Let's start off with the irradiated, with the Children of Adam colors, no less. We'll just throw some shots down there, and look at the hundreds of damages that I'm getting out of this. I believe that would be from the irradiation itself, I think. I can't see why this thing would be otherwise hitting for those extra 100 things. Ah, you can tell because the damage numbers are going directly up and the normal damage is spraying all around. So that's the power of the irradiated one. So yeah, I'm guessing Iris is going to be pretty jealous that we're using this particular version of this minigun. But yeah, things are going pretty well. Utterly devastating, as you might expect an irradiated minigun to be. I'm guessing you're all waiting for this moment though. Is it any surprise that an explosive version would be so devastating? I am. I'm shocked. Not as shocked as that man though, who did a sweet breakdance after he died. So that one. Okay, let's not do that one. This one here, this one would be two-shot, which it's already got multiple projectiles already, so probably wasted on this thing, but we get a little bit more power out of it, so that's nice. There's a substantial power difference between this and the previous versions we've been using, though. Irradiated being a highly specialized version, yeah, that'll probably do the job. I believe we have a... wounding, yes. The other shorter barrel one is lucky, that's why I was spamming criticals, but with the amount of projectiles we're firing out of this thing, I mean, in a VATS round like that, we're going to crush them with standard damage anyway, but now we can wait. Bleed, 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 almost dead. Down you go. You fall over in a sea of your own blood and other things that might be contained within your veins. Like plasma, I think there's a lot of that. And possibly lead. There are advantages to having multiple projectiles at once, and you see all those numbers of ones rising from the screen? Every single point of that is one, obviously, damage of wounding power. So isn't that nice? And just a burst of this thing with the 10 rounds, if they all hit and all of the, excuse me. Well, they don't survive very long. Alright, let's use the irradiated version. Excuse me, stop doing that. We're going to be critting you in the face, even from back here. It's not too bad. The VATS on this thing, despite being a heavy weapon, is actually fairly efficient as well, which is pleasing for a weapon to have that versatility. So if you want to use it in a strictly VATS build, you could probably get away with it. But obviously there are problems with the range, so we got to go a little bit closer. So 23 on the criticals after we add in concentrated fire versus the 9 on the standards. That's okay, but I think the real winner here is the irradiated version. It's not particularly a legendary effect that I use commonly, but I don't mind using this thing because this thing won't blow myself up at close range, and I don't think you can get these things as legendary weapons, but for a dedicated anti-human weapon, this is definitely feeling good. So this is the kind of damage you'd expect for maybe like a true damage version of this thing, but we don't have to worry about getting our head blown off by quick scoping gunners, so I think that's a pretty good trade-off for us. I don't usually use legendary effects. Wow, there's a Molotov party going on there. They're somehow setting me on fire through a wall on 4 occasions, the bastards. Actually, I've got a bloodied one somewhere. 48 damage, 84 now. That's good stuff. She's channeling the anger, I feel. $486. That's Destroyer of Acadia on that. That's a lot of damage. Have to get the flex tape, I suppose. Anyways, so after a few little bits of experimenting here, we've finally been able to overcome the immersive Gunners Plaza, and it's been a rough afternoon, I think, for Nina, but we can finish this off with a more relaxing fashion here. You'll have that feel better. There is only one answer to what weapon I should use against the Mighty Swan, and it is the explosive version. As much rounds as I possibly got. Hopefully I won't use all of them, but we'll see how we go. Nope, that is a proper face melted type moment, and the explosion radius was actually large enough for him to... Wow, I hope you got a stunt double for that. That looked painful. Yes, the explosion radius was large enough on this thing to actually get that rock blown up from the air, because I guess they're laced with explosives for some reason. We've only got 385 rounds left in this thing. It goes through them pretty quickly. Any standard suppressed automatic rifle I'd use wouldn't use half as much as this, but you know, it's all been fun in the name of experimentation. But I think we've got room for one more monster, I suppose. We're gonna have to be... Ammo's tight, so we'll have to do something creative. Enter the wounding version. As the ghoul over there is distracted by other insectoids, we'll run up to him. Okay, he's immediately put his attention on me. We've used up some of our AP, but enough is here in order to... I may as well add the criticals if I've got them, right? Yes, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Hopefully the insectoids will drag the other ghoul away. I don't see that happening, though. Lots of staggerings happening as well. That might just be because the inherent staggering powers of the legendary weapons. But now, I've got no bullets. As they say, up shit creek without a paddle. So what I might do is see if any of these gunners would happen to be possessing any bullets of the 5.56 variety at all. I'd like to borrow some, please. Or I could repair the turret grid. Actually, this... Oh, look! Oh, that guy's got one of these. Actually, that's good. Okay, I've got an idea. We're gonna punch him to death and steal his minigun. Cop this and that. And the left, and the right, and a critical. Get him on the ground. Alright. Pick up the guns and everything. We got the ammo from the gun, and we can go back. We'll keep on using this one. Oh, that's a full magazine and a half. I'll be back to finish this fight later, don't worry. I won't be. We just said that to make the settlers feel a bit more secure. Anyways, there is the Wendigo. We'll put some more hot lead into this fellow. Add the criticals where we can get them. And hopefully the bleed damage will allow him to fall. Yes, perfect. And with that, he drops to the ground dead. Probably overkilled him a few little bits, but now little Wally Warwick's trying to fight. Brave lad, but definitely out of his league a little bit. And I think that is it. We've defended Warwick Homestead. Don't say I've never done anything for you. And I think all of these guys were legendary too. You wonder of all of these legendary guys whether any of them would give a good drop. Certainly not that guy. Although Ghoul Slayers would have worked against that Wendigo, but he never even got close to hitting me. We just staggered him too much. But I think you get the idea. So that was the Vulcan cannon. In terms of its high level properties, I must say that I'm very disappointed in its lack of performance there. I think we can do a lot better than that, and there's room to improve on here. I do like it aesthetically. It's very well put together. I do love the Nif Bash weapons. They're always a treat to use, but I think numbers wise this thing could be changed and switched around, and then it'll be a weapon that I'd enjoy using more. So room to grow on this one, but interesting weapon, and if you are playing on a lesser difficulty, you'll probably find that you'll have a better time using this thing than I did here. If you want to use the true damage mod to mess around with it as well, that might be interesting. If you can kill Gunner's Plaza using this thing without spamming stim packs, of course, because spamming stim packs is just cheap and that's not fun to be. It's not fun to watch, is it? Well, maybe. I'd actually be impressed with that. I'll take your word for it too, but don't lie to me. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, or enjoyed the weapon video, link in the description. Go and see it if you want. Thank you very much for watching, guys.